All right, everybody. Thanks for sitting tight. I see a few more people have joined us, so I figure it is time to kick this thing off and get going. Again, welcome to the one-on-one webinar with me, Mike Hardy. Glad to see so many people here. Introduce Terry Perez joining me on the webinar today.
How's it going, everybody? See a lot of familiar faces there on the that's joining the webinar. So welcome, everybody.
Yeah, it's cool to, we haven't done one of these, Terry. When was the last time you and I did one of these?
I mean, I think it was something about technology trends. Just so happens that we're a technology company. So I think it was last year. I think it was pretty much last year. Yeah. I'm just looking at, Mike, I'm looking at the two pictures that we have, and I really, really don't like this picture.
Yeah, so I don't like how they flipped my picture, so I'm like reverse, so like my smile's the wrong way and everything else. Like it's
Yeah. I don't have facial hair right here, so it doesn't look like I have any bones in my face. So yeah.
Well, I don't think people wanted to listen to you and I talk about how bad we look in our pictures. So let's just move forward. Today on our one-on-one, we're going to unpack kind of what we normally do. This is about a quarterly event where we take some time to talk a little bit about the company, like what we're doing and the things that we're working on, sharing updates and news about us, focus heavily on kind of product updates, kind of things that we've done more recently, things that we're teeing up to work on in the future. And where we can, we always like to kind of spotlight something or somebody in the company that really kind of makes a difference. And if we can get through that pretty quickly, we're going to try to have a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. The webinar is set to run for about an hour. So, looking to probably have a hard stop right on the top of the hour. If we can run long a little, we may. But again, we're going to be trying to be very respectful of your time and get you out of here really at the top of the hour. So let's jump in about TOPS, and Terry, of course, feel free to chime in wherever you feel fit. When you think about TOPS, and if you're familiar with TOPS, if you're using TOPS today, it's good to kind of reset what we set out to do. And our goal, the reason we exist, is to make our clients' lives easier. And the way we think we can do that best is by giving a platform or a cloud system which allows our clients to have every aspect of their HOA working together in real time. And by that, what we mean is we mean accounting that's unique for HOA management, allowing the owners, the vendors, the partners, the management staff, the accounting staff, your boards to collaborate in real time, giving you complete transparency across your entire portfolio. It means that you can make payments and receive payments inside the app without having to worry about kind of some of the interruptions that might come with kind of paper processes. And at the end of the day, our goal for our clients and our goal to kind of elevate the industry is to allow every major constituent that is a part of the HOA lifecycle to access the key information that they need in real time, anywhere on any device. Like that's what we've set out to do with TOPS One. We want to bring everybody together because what we fundamentally believe, guys, is that your lives are made easier when all the people that have to work together for the betterment of the community work together in one place.
Yeah, Mike, and just to add to that, if you look at this this awesome community ecosystem graph that we have here, if you look at this, if you look at each part of the ecosystem, homeowners, board members, vendors, even third-party services, because of what happened in 2019 and 2020, this ecosystem is completely different than what it had previously been. And so throughout the presentation, the engagement is different. There's so many things that have changed with this ecosystem because of the COVID and everything else that's happened, that we're going to be able to illustrate that for everybody today and how we've adapted to that change.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And actually, since you bring it up, before we jump too far in, let's kind of run a couple polls real fast just to kind of get a lay of the land, like who we've got joining us today. Sandra, if you don't mind, can you quickly kind of put a poll up asking everybody kind of just about their business? Are they a community that's self-managed? Are they a management company? Or that one, are they currently using TOPS Pro or IQ or One or something else? And we'll take about 20 seconds to get this one answered. All right. And let's, if you don't mind, yeah, let's go ahead and put the other one up about if they're a self-managed community or a management company, like that would be helpful. Yeah, and PMC, guys, is our acronym for property management company, something we use internally a lot. All right. And if you wouldn't mind, Sandra, if you could just put the last poll up just about the number of doors that are being managed by each one of these organizations. Again, this helps us just understand kind of who you are a little bit. And again, that way as we kind of track feedback and stuff like that, we can kind of tie it back and it helps us to kind of make better sense of data. So again, really appreciate you guys taking time for these polls. Awesome. So Terry, kind of, you brought it up, Terry, like COVID and the pandemic, and I said before the webinar, I'm going to try not to say COVID, and then you already got me saying it. I don't want to say it. I'm tired of it. Yeah, exactly. The pandemic. If everybody could do me one quick favor too before we jump in, there's a little question button in the menu off to the side where you can actually submit like a free form text in like a question. I'd actually like if you could take a second, share with us in 2020, what was like the biggest challenge or change that your organization had to deal with? Really would like to get that feedback from our attendees, because as we do unpack the things that we're doing, I'd love to see what they saw as the biggest issues that they had to overcome. Because I think, we're going to unpack it further in the presentation. But what you and I both know, Terry, is that last year was unprecedented. A lot of things happened that people just did not kind of see coming. And a lot of, what we call pivots had to happen in day-to-day business.
Yeah, Mike, one of the biggest things that our customers and even people that weren't part of the TOPS Pro and TOPS IQ user base, they knew that they had to make a change. People know that now is the time. People that are in disconnected systems, people that are using legacy older technology, they knew coming into 2019 and 2020 that it was time for a change. And unfortunately, the pandemic and everything that happened, it really kind of pushed out their timeline. And so now here we are in 2021. And if you haven't made those pivots that were necessary, I would say that take this information that you get today and use this to move forward with that pivot that you'd planned. Because if you don't do that, one of your competitors or somebody else that's a newcomer to the block is going to take advantage of that. So this information that we're going to share today, it's really going to help you move forward with that decision and really help us help you.
Yeah. So when we think about, again, like our goals to kind of make our clients' lives easier, and we talk about having everybody working together in real time, one of the key kind of threads that we've always believed in here at TOPS when we built One was that if you've got people that are using a phone or a desktop or a tablet, they're on a Mac or a Windows machine, it shouldn't really matter, because at the end of the day, you want them to be able to log in, do what they need to do, and go on with their lives. And that's why everything we do, whether it's our core TOPS One accounting platform, whether it is our resident and board portals, whether it's our vendor portal, everything can be accessed on any device, anywhere, anytime, as long as they've got an internet connection. And again, it really is a core thesis. What we do is like bring everybody together and don't worry so much about what device they're using. So again, this is really core to what we do here at TOPS. And when we think about everything that you guys could need or use, we look at kind of this pyramid of needs, from having to have an accounting system and a platform to track your owners and properties, being able to manage all the financial activity, processing AR and AP payments, giving tools for the homeowners and board members to engage with the association, and finally bringing the vendors into a meaningful online experience. What is great about what we're trying to solve for the industry is that every community, regardless of size, whether it's 4 units or 4,000 units, they need a platform to track everybody. They need some expertise to do the financials management. They need to process money in and money out. They need to find ways to engage with their homeowners and boards. And they've got vendors that provide services that also need to be brought into the fold. So for us, every single client, we believe, does everything that's on this kind of list. The difference with kind of Tops One and what we are bringing to the table and what else is in the market is that we're giving them a platform where all this can be done in one place in real time with one technology stack instead of using 4 or 5 different systems.
Mike, you and I have been kind of at Tops for almost the same amount of time. I think you have about a year on me. I think you're at 12 straight and I'm at 11. I know you can testify to this from the day that I started, and there are people on this webinar that I can remember talking to when I was in a team lead and support here at Tops, and one of the biggest outcries was from our client base was that they wanted Tops to be that one provider for every problem and every challenge that they face in the industry. And so, we fast forward to today, and our ability to say that we can be that partner, and I always like to say that one throat to choke when you need to have something solved. It's really been really helpful to a lot of the clients that we have. And what's awesome about that is the people that are out putting up reviews and testimonials and case studies that can also testify to that.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think we're going to unpack that a little bit more, because I think you're right. People have always kind of wanted to have like a single relationship instead of 4 or 5. I think we're kind of unique in that we can provide that today. A year ago, I don't know that we could, but fast forward to today, it certainly we can and we are. So, kind of sharing some company updates with everybody on the call. As we exit 2020, we're getting close to 600 subscribed Tops One clients. I share that because that is meaningful. A lot of our historical competitors don't even have half that number of clients over a 15-year window, and we've got close to 600 now in about a 4-year window. So clearly the message of a united community online is resonating with the market. Like you mentioned on the reviews, we got 64 reviews on G2 Crowd with a 4.5 average. Guys, we make mistakes. You've heard me say it on prior webinars. We make mistakes, and we're going to continue to make mistakes. But we do have an expression internally. It's coined by our head of marketing, which is FAIL as an acronym. It's your first attempt in learning. We make mistakes. Where I don't think we do fail, though, is we learn pretty quickly from our mistakes, and we try to adjust and adapt and move forward. 2020 saw us launch 7 new features and services. Our offices were closed for 290 straight days, and we remain closed today. I'm in the office, but most everyone else in the company is working out of their house. We exit the year with 112 team members in 10 states and 2 countries. So again, the size of the organization's gotten bigger, and most of that growth is in the customer-facing side. We completed at the end of last year, we completed a migration moving the entire One ecosystem to AWS. Why that's important for our clients is AWS just simply gives us the ability to scale and provide more performant infrastructure for our clients so that the system gets better and faster even as we load more and more data and users into it. Talking about kind of support teams and success, we unified our success and support teams in 2020. And this is, like, it might seem like a small point, but it really is a critical one. When you form a partnership relationship with clients, you want to have as much continuity as possible. And one of the things that we looked at is, we're working with these organizations for years, and we've got 20 people in support, and we got X number of people in success, and we got X number of people in implementation. And all 3 of these parties have to work together to fully take care of a client, but they're not actually working together really effectively. And by unifying success and support teams, what we've done is we actually have 5 customer-facing teams that each is responsible for a group of clients, and they're responsible for that group of clients in totality. So if you put in a support request, the same team that you put in a request for, that team always is there working with you. If you're in the middle of a project or an implementation, that team is responsible to walk you through it. If you're looking to kind of roll out new features, that same team is who you work with. Our goal is to get our teams to become much more intimate with you as a client, so that instead of having to explain who you are every time you talk to somebody, you're working with the same group of 7 or 8 people, and they get to know you, and they get to know your staff, and they get to know what really matters to you, so that we can be a better partner to you guys. So again, it might be just one bullet in here. That was a massive amount of work to get that to happen. And it's an ongoing process. We're not quite done with it yet, but the entire goal of unifying this is just to make it so that when you reach out to us, you begin to develop a higher level rapport with our team, and our team begins to build a higher level rapport with you. And then the kind of final highlight in 2020 is just really kind of refining our onboarding process and our conversion tools. Onboarding is the single most difficult thing for any client and for us. Anyone that tells you onboarding is a piece of cake is lying to you, or they're trying to sell you something. It's tough, but we think we do it better than the next guy. And we put a lot of effort in 2020 into kind of beefing that up, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Terry, anything you'd want to add on this stuff?
No, I mean, Mike, sometimes people are a little adverse to change. Surprise, especially in this industry. One of the things that we had to do with this huge change to our services team was make sure that we were all excited about it and believed in it. And if you look at what our customers do with their relationships, one of the big themes that you should take away from this webinar today is our emphasis on relationship and how we can still maintain an incredible relationship with our customers throughout the COVID era and throughout this new remote kind of living style that you have to have. So Mike, if you think about, even some executives or owners of management companies, they still manage certain communities that they started managing 20 years ago because they don't want to change the relationship. And that's really one of the focus and one of the benefits of having a unified and dedicated success and support team is you maintain that relationship. And again, solving problems is always something that takes two to do. And so being able to face the same person and work with the same people has its benefits that our customers can relate to because they do the same thing.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a really great point. So I went too fast. So let's talk about kind of the year that was and kind of looking forward into 2021. I think as you kind of said just a few minutes ago, Terry, business for our clients not only looks different today, it is different today than what it was. And this is one of those areas where, we really, I don't want to say TOPS was kind of planning for an event like this because no one can plan for what 2020 held. But certainly, I think from our perspective, we were getting ready and we're getting the tools ready for a world where something like this might happen. Or something not like this per se, but maybe something where getting people out of the office became an expected reality for a lot of our clients, where they had people that wanted to work remotely. So as we think about some of the challenges that we heard in 2020, these are some things that we saw coming from our clients. And a lot of it, the first several are having to deal with just kind of the dependence on kind of paper mailings. Having to have people in the office to receive checks, having to have people in the office to receive physical bills from vendors. The Postal Service, with the interruptions that they had, payments getting to the lockbox or to the office late, and that interruption of cash flow for the community. Getting board members to sign off on AP payments. Again, those paper processes where you've got to go and get a piece of paper signed off on by a board member. I think a lot of these kind of paper-driven processes quickly failed when 2020 and quarantine hit, and a lot of us maybe weren't fully ready for that. Terry, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, these like you said, Mike, these challenges are direct from our clients, and these are so accurate based on the conversations that I have across the country with our property management company owners and key staff. And to combine these challenges, I mean, look at the list of these 12. These are already business related things that were plaguing the industry and hindering people from growth and hindering people from being efficient. Now you throw in there, again, we said that we weren't going to talk about COVID and the pandemic, but if you look at these things, what else is important about why you have to do these things? Now you have to be considerate of people's safety, people's health. you know, not just your internal staff, but your homeowners. Your homeowners, you have to, you have communities that have different demographics that may be more susceptible to catastrophe. And so keeping your homeowners safe and making sure that if you really do care about your customers, you have to have systems that are there that are not going to hinder you, but rather take you to that next level. And Mike, we talk about this on almost every webinar that we have, but no matter the size of the property management organization, they never know what sets them apart from their competitors other than their ability to offer customer service. And so when you think about that, how are you offering that customer service? It was face to face. It was an area where you're very close to that person in a board meeting or at their home. And so you've got to learn and know how to take your business and utilize a vehicle like TopsOne or our platform as the vehicle to take that message and to take your customer service outside of the office and outside of those homes, so that again you can solve the problems but also maintain that safety for the people that you care about.
Gosh, I mean, that's such a great point. Like, we've got in here like the contactless payments, contactless virtual board meetings, contactless kind of membership meetings. But I think you're right. I mean, you hear the news and it's like there's different kind of variations of this virus that are kind of mutating, and the vaccines that we hear may not be good for every kind of strain of this thing that kind of mutates. It may be that this just becomes the normal. Like, we need to find, having a homeowner drop the payment off in the office maybe isn't a good option, or it may not ever be an option again. And being face to face with the board, that might be more of the outlier instead of the norm, and it's going to be Zoom meetings and things like that you're getting everybody together. So the more that we, can embrace contactless opportunities, if it's payments, if it's mail pieces, if it's interfacing with owners and board members and vendors, I think you're right. I mean, I think there's a safety component that we just all have to be aware of.
Yeah, and Mike, a lot of these companies out here, they're so successful and they've been around for so long. There's a customer on right now, HOA Management. Mrs. Patty's on right now. I'll brag a little bit about her and Mr. Patty. They've had customers for 30 years, and so they made the jump into TopsOne, into the owner engagement and board engagement portals, and again, not having a fear that change is going to cause you to lose customers, or that self-service or portal options are going to somehow degrade that customer service that you offer. People are out there looking for self-service options. They're looking for ways to do the things that they normally do from home. And so, kudos to those people that have kind of realized that made that jump, and that have maintained relationships with those customers through those changes.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great point. And I'm sure, like I said, early on, we asked you guys to share some of the biggest challenges you had. I'll be interested in looking at that feedback at the end of the webinar today to see. I know there's probably some things that people are going to put in that question log that I just didn't see before. And again, that's the kind of feedback we want, because we want to hear the challenges that you guys are seeing. But you know what? The flip side is that we weren't kind of planning for a 2020, but for those of our clients that were already kind of on TopsOne or thinking about going to TopsOne, TopsOne was conceived from the get-go to be this kind of transformative technology that eliminates the need for everyone to be in the same office. Cloud-based, access from any device, mobile responsive, your team, again, working anywhere at any time, in real time, transparent views of data for all the key constituents, meaning that the people that need to see key information, they can get it without having to bother somebody else. So our focus in 2020, independent of anything that happened, just coming into the year, we had a couple key things we wanted to deliver. And it really was there are some very paper-heavy processes that deserve to be moved into a digitized format. And these are the ones we set out to do: accounts payable automation, online vendor management, improved resident engagement, online resident payment tools, and electronic accounts payable payments. So again, very heavy focus on kind of transactional interactions with kind of 2 or 3 core constituents that don't typically reside in the office: your vendors, your homeowners, and your board members. Bringing some of the paper processes that they lean on into the platform so that they don't have to, again, physically be in person. So again, this was our roadmap in 2020 before we even had any thought of a pandemic. And I put a little quote up here that I got from Joanne Pernicano. And she kind of said, thank God for Top Swollen during this pandemic. It was worth all the growing pains. And again, I will say it, guys, we haven't always been perfect on this stuff, and I own it. We own it. But, with getting close to 600 clients, we're doing a lot of stuff right. And we're going to continue to focus on the areas where we can improve and get better. And that's our commitment to you as our partner. Like, we are going to continue to work to get better than we are today. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about these product enhancements we made in 2020, and let's talk about like real tangible things that we did. Terry, you ready for this?
I'm always ready. By the way, you just quoted Joanne Pernicano. She's on the webinar today. Hi, Joanne. We love you.
Again, I use that like that's like it was such a nice succinct thing when she sent that email. I was really appreciative of it. So, Joanne, thank you for that. One of the biggest things we saw coming into the year was that AP management is costing our clients money. It's costing them money in hard dollars and soft dollars. Hard dollars with materials, paper, check stock, envelopes, stamps, soft dollars in staff time, and kind of just downtime with the process of moving things around. What we also learned from our clients is that managing vendors and payables could take up as much as a quarter of their staff time. Getting updates from vendors on work orders, getting updates on vendors on their insurance information, contact information, just going back and forth, managing the payables process, the internal and external approvals. And then when you look outside of the industry and you look at some of these studies that say that processing a paper invoice costs anywhere from $12 to $30. And it's mostly the labor of moving that piece of paper around to different people to sign off on it, and the dead time of that thing just sitting in place on somebody's desk or somebody's inbox for a while. And on top of that, when you have these paper-driven processes around kind of vendors and accounts payable, chances are they're being done offline in a way that's not reportable, it's not trackable, and there's no visibility. So we kind of set out in 2020, we wanted to take this AP management and bring it into the platform in a way that took all these things that were costing our clients hard and soft dollars and replacing it with the ability to reclaim almost half of that time, maybe even more, by digitizing that experience. And that is really one of the biggest things, because at the end of the day, if we think about being a good partner for our clients, our goal in doing that is to get these things that are time consuming off of their plate and move it to a place where it can be more easily tracked, more efficiently tracked and managed. And this is an area where I think we're really kind of poised to do that.
Yeah, Mike, you said, in one of the previous slides, you said that the things that we did in 2020 were there and put there for our clients to lean on. And the first thing that I thought of was, yeah, they're leaning on all the boxes of invoices that they have stacked in their rooms that they have. So I've been in offices across the United States, and in the IT closet on every desk in every hallway, there are boxes of invoices and reports. And so you look at that. This is a joke, but not only are you going to reclaim that time, but you're also going to reclaim some of that real estate within your offices.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's true. I mean, I remember visiting a client, and they literally had like a whole file storage room, and they had like all these filing cabinets in the middle, and they use it as kind of like their impromptu break room, because everyone just kind of stand there and have their lunch eating on top of the filing cabinets. So,
yeah. You know what, Mike? What's crazy is that these things are kept just in case they might need to go back to them, right?
It is
why would you want?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and so when you can take that and offload that, you could put that into a system that offers unlimited storage and the ability to go back easily. What's easier to do, to find a payable and look at the attachment within a web-based system, or go into the elephant graveyard of AP invoice boxes and kind of go through the filing system? It's really eye-opening.
Yeah, Mickey, Mickey from South Data. What was his last name?
Couldn't tell you right now.
Mickey McGuire. He had a saying about kind of going paperless. Going paperless is kind of tough, but you don't kind of go backwards and try to go paperless, kind of retroactive to like 2019. You just choose like today's the day that we're going to stop trying to be so paper driven, and you just make it truth going forward. And that was one of the things that he always kind of drilled into my head. I thought it was so smart, because I think sometimes when we think about paperless, it is like we got to go backwards, and you've already got the file folders and the cabinets. You know, you keep what you got. You just make a focus to create less of it going forward.
Good point.
Yeah. So what are the things that we did to help on the AP side? So the big thing that we launched early in the year, first half of the year, was our vendor portal called Vendor Ally. This is similar to an owner portal or a board portal, but it's designed just for your vendors to interact with your communities. And allows the vendor to go online and manage all of their data so that you and your staff don't have to. And when I say their data, I'm referring to their contact information, their insurance information, giving them visibility into the AP process. So if they've submitted a bill to you guys, they can log in and see if it's been paid or not, so they don't have to call or email you to ask about it. They can see it on their time and not yours. And again, I mentioned it earlier, this was designed kind of to be mobile responsive. So if that vendor is on a phone or a tablet or a PC or a Mac, it doesn't matter. They can log in and they can see this information anywhere at any time. And the great thing is we rolled this feature out at no extra cost for our clients. So again, if you're using TOPS One, you can turn this feature on today and it doesn't cost you one dime more. So again, this is not about trying to drive kind of more money out of our clients' pockets. This is simply about trying to make our clients' lives better. Big piece here is the AP submission. We're going to unpack that here in a second, because that's actually another key thing that is really cool. Because if you think about this, if the vendor all of a sudden can log in online and manage their information, being able to let them not only see the payables that are kind of in process and know if they're going to get paid soon or not, like that helps you guys maybe reduce some of the phone calls. But letting them also submit their AP bills to the community online also takes it to a next level for you and your team. And this is a core feature with kind of the Vendor Ally portal, is that if you want to, you can let vendors submit their bills there. And so this is a real-time AP bill submission, meaning that the moment they click submit, you immediately see it inside of TOPS One. If they have an attachment on that AP bill, you see that attachment in your system in real time without any need to scan that file. They also are keying in things like, what is this bill for? It's for cutting the grass, it's for trimming the shrubs, whatever it may be. That description comes in. They put in the amount for the bill, it's $1,000. That comes in. The great thing is there's no charge to the vendor to submit that bill online, and there's no charge to the management company or the association for that online bill submission. Again, completely no cost for everybody to do this. We do it because we want to help you guys get these things digitally quicker. And also, especially with the pandemic, this eliminates some of the need to be in the office and have a contactless form of AP. So you might say, well, I get nervous because, and I hear this from clients all the time, vendors might not always be the sharpest tool in the shed. And I hopefully don't have a lot of vendors on the call today. And I get it. Like, these vendors are maybe not hired for their technical acumen. They're hired because they're good at the particular craft that they provide. So it's really important that if we let them get in and claim their account and manage their information and look at their payables and even submit payables, that at the end of the day, you still retain complete control. And that's why we created what is called the AP inbox. And again, this is part of TOPS One. If you turn on the vendor portal, it doesn't cost you a dime extra. And just like you would go to the mailbox to collect physical mail, your AP inbox inside of TOPS One is where you collect your digital bills from your vendors, and you get a chance to review them before they actually get into the payables part of the application. So let me just kind of say that again to make sure everyone understands it. Even though the vendor submits it online, there's still a safety check that you and your staff have that prevent that thing from flowing all the way in where it could get cut until you've had a chance to either accept it, reject it, or modify it. So in real time, you've got these bills showing up inside of TOPS One in this inbox. You can look at it across your entire portfolio. You can look at it on a community by community basis. You can approve or reject it. If you reject it, it actually sends it back to the vendor, and it puts you can put a little note on it telling them why it got rejected. Maybe they put it to the wrong community. Maybe they fat fingered the amount. Maybe it was something else that was kind of just incorrect. Whatever it is, you can reject it, and now it puts the onus back on the vendor to clean up their mistake and resubmit it. You can view that attachment right there on the screen. So if they've got an image of a bill that they've attached to that, you can click the little paperclip, and you can actually see it right there on the screen to review it to make sure it all kind of matches up. And the best thing about this is, while you can maintain complete control, you've shifted the data entry to the vendor. So they're keying in, again, the description, the amount, who it's going billed to. You simply then review it and you modify the things that need to be modified. But this reduces a lot of that manual entry by nearly 100% for things that kind of come through cleanly. And for things that don't, the vendor gets real-time feedback that it's been rejected and they can fix it, shortening the process for them. And again, this is baked into the whole vendor portal, AP submission, AP inbox as just a core part of TOPS One. Anything to add on this one, Terry?
I would just say that when we talk about things that are really game changers to an organization like this, a lot of people will think that my vendors might not adopt this, or my vendors might not use this. Like you said, maybe not the sharpest tool in the shed, but the way that again, you can't be so afraid of change. You have to really adapt to change and be excited about change. When you think about the potential. What if you were to send invites out to your vendors and 30% of those vendors were to adopt that? Imagine just the 30% adoption rate that you would get. Now even fast forward a little bit, and what if you roll this portal into your vendor boarding process, like Mike talked about, not having to go backwards? What if you just look forward and start inviting every new vendor and making sure that they're onboarded with this process? That's the way that you really have to approach this and really see the benefit of the time that you're saving. The more that you grow, the more time you're going to be spent chasing down insurance that's expired, a new vendor phone number, a new vendor email. These are things that you want to be able to get some of that time back. And so again, one of the main reasons why I see people that fail to adopt stuff like this, Mike, is just a fear that nobody's going to use it. We can't assume that.
And that's really good feedback, because I do think there is that sentiment. One of the things that we did with the vendor portal in 2020, when we did have it ready to go, we piloted it with about 10, 15 clients to get real world feedback before we kind of really started talking about it. The clients that kind of leaned into it, to your point, Terry, said exactly that. It was a total game changer. Like this just became like, if you're going to work with us, if you're going to work with our portfolio of companies, you're going to submit your bills online because it makes it easier for us, and you've got complete transparency, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, to know what's going on. So for them, it became like this is a non-negotiable thing going forward. But they had to mentally get there, which is, am I comfortable knowing that if I trust this vendor to key it in, I still have control to look at it? And they saw that they did. And once they got that comfort level, then it was like, okay, let's go full bore on this. Yeah. So the other kind of key part of this, and this wasn't a new feature in 2020, but it's a feature that really kind of comes to prominence if you use everything we just talked about. And that is the notion of kind of default distributions on your AP. And default distributions are a feature that you can use today if you've got a vendor, a recurring vendor in a community, and that vendor submits monthly bills, where you can actually set up a formula inside of TOPS One that automatically distributes the bills from that vendor across certain GL accounts, so that when they submit a bill, the system will automatically take it and apply that distribution to that bill without your staff having to manually do that kind of GL expense distribution. So again, today it works when you do a manual AP, but it also works with the vendor portal. When the vendor submits a bill online, it'll automatically apply a default distribution if one exists. So again, the goal with this is to make it a little bit more error-proof on the AP side, where you take some of the guesswork out for your staff, but it also still gives you the convenience of being able to kind of modify the distribution in the event that you got something that's outside the normal scope of that vendor. So again, not a new feature, but a feature that we think if you're not using today, especially if you're thinking about using the AP inbox in the vendor portal, this is a piece you want to use to go with it because it'll make the other parts work better. And again, this is just part of the core TOPS 1 application. There's no extra cost for this. I think you got Terry?
No, I mean, you covered it really well there, Mike.
Thanks, Fed. So the bottom line with these changes we made on the kind of the vendor and AP side, it was to give our clients a full end-to-end AP management platform inside of the one ecosystem without having to pay another subscription for services, without having to have a new integration partner, without having to have some other system to manage, and with a quicker path to getting it up and going. The vendor portal can get turned on same day. You can begin inviting vendors that same day, and you can begin receiving AP bills in the same day. So there's no month or 2-month setup process. This can be set up and begin to be utilized by you and your staff literally in one day. And again, at no extra cost. And that's like literally a big thing. We want to deliver more value. We want you to have more staff time to go work on things that are actually accretive to the business, taking care of clients, winning new business, maybe taking time off to spend with family, although with the pandemic, maybe we're getting enough family time. But yeah, but again, it's like having that flexibility, that's key. Like let's reclaim this time so you guys can figure out how to use it best. So let's talk about kind of going forward. What are the things that are on the immediate near-term horizon? So most of the things that we're going to talk about are things that are already done and in testing, or they are things that are in very late stage development and nearly complete. So these are all things that are by and large kind of ready to go, but we'll probably pilot for a couple months, or they're just about ready to go and we'll do some testing on them for a little bit before they go into general release. First and foremost, digital payments. So if you're doing all this digitally online and then you still have to cut a check, like it kind of breaks the process. You know, we know USPS still has some slowness with their delivery. I'm hearing people are still getting Christmas cards here in late January, early February from December. I think the more that we can get out of paper mail for critical communications and for kind of receiving and making payments, like that is in everybody's best interest. So we've got digital AP payments. We're piloting this right now. We're going to pilot this probably for the next 3 months. Assuming we don't run into any kind of major snafus, I would expect in mid Q2, this goes into general release. And again, to adopt this, costs will be zero to our clients. Alongside that, AP approval, again, this is in late stage development. This is both internal and external approval processes. We're going to unpack these: TOPS Inspector, which is our mobile app, and then Advanced Request Management. And that's really exciting because Advanced Request Management is teed up for first half of the year, called Q2. And this is going to be trying to bring some case management style functionality into TOPS 1 so that if you think about homeowners and them being home more, working remotely, they're more aware of what's going on in the community, giving them tools to interact with the community and submit cases with kind of better reporting on your side so you can see who's asking for what, kind of route things internally. So if you're familiar with products like Zendesk or Freshdesk or kind of case management tools, it's building a light style of that into TOPS 1 and our portal product so that you can shift those requests online and have a really solid kind of reporting and visibility into it. So let's unpack the digital AP payments or AP approval. AP approval allows our clients to set up internal and external approvals on a per community basis. And when these approvals are set up, you can set the different levels and the amounts and the thresholds that need to be met. AP items could have both internal and external approval. So it could be that before this goes to the board, it has to go to the property manager. You can set up a list of internal users that are potential approvers. The system, when you activate AP approval, will block a check from being cut or a payment from being made until the necessary approvals have been met. And again, this is going to be built in at no extra cost for all of our TOPS clients. So this is going to be part of TOPS 1. If you do use the board approval process, you will need to have our advanced portal for those boards that need it, because that gives them access to view these AP approvals online. But if you're not doing anything with kind of board approvals, the basic AP approval with the internal rule set will be available at no cost to every TOPS 1 client. Anything to add on this, Terry?
Not on this one, but I'm just going to rewind just a little bit for 1 second. The advanced request management, something that's just been hitting a key tone with our customers when I'm talking to them across the United States, and something that a lot of our customers, Mike, didn't take advantage of was the ability to track service requests and the ability to track those types of requests. And so they think that it might just be additional work or something that might cost more time. But when you think about time itself, when you manage CC&Rs and you have these processes and the powerful ability to report on them, a lot of these boards and HOAs, they think that the property management company doesn't do anything but keep the sign out front clean. And so when you're able to report on these requests, you can do a few things. You can go back to your boards and your homeowners associations to prove to them how much time you're spending, but also internally to review how much time you've committed to this customer, and is it equitable? Does it make business sense to keep the relationship as is because of the time spent? So advanced response management is really, really something that I'm excited about, and I know a lot of people are.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. I think, again, contactless way to manage things coming from your owners. Digital payments, being able to let the vendor choose to get paid electronically via an ACH in lieu of a paper check. Eliminate the need for you to actually physically print checks and do MICR or go get people to physically kind of sign the checks. Tracking, traceability, under the hood, complete tracking of that payment end to end. Fraud protection, we do two-factor authentication on this, which allows you to have peace of mind that that payment going across isn't any kind of fraud or fraudulent payment. And just, again, from the moment you hit kind of make payment in lieu of a paper check, the system will just grab these digital payments and begin the process of moving those monies to the vendor electronically. And again, built in, if you're using Vendor Ally and vendors are enrolling, like, again, this is something you can turn on and begin to utilize. Again, we're not quite ready for this one yet. We've got about 3 months of piloting to do, but come mid Q2, I expect this to be fully ready. And then the last thing, and this is actually also really about ready to go out the door, which is our TOPS Inspector. This is a mobile app designed just for going on site and doing these site inspections. It allows your user to take the data for their communities and actually put it on the device so that if they don't have an internet connection, it doesn't matter. They've got all the information right there at their fingertips. It dynamically creates ride lists based on the street names so that it'll break up, street A and street B, and give your user the ability to kind of do the inspection on one street, save that inspection, go to the next street, do the inspection, and it color codes and GPS maps the entire community so you can see the properties that are good, the properties that have violations, properties that have notes. It's all right there at your fingertips. And when you're done, or when your user is done, and they sync that information back to TOPS 1, it comes in as a batch where your staff then at the office can review all the things that property manager did on site, every new record created, every record that was closed, and they can then kind of audit it before it gets fully committed into TOPS 1. So you, again, let the inspector do their job in the field, but also have the ability to have a second set of eyes on their work product to make sure nothing got missed. So again, this is effectively ready to go today, or I think by the end of this week, this is ready for general release. So if you're thinking about an inspection tool, this is a really slick one that works with iOS and Android. Terry, anything on this one?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. Yeah, I'm just looking at 6 minutes from the hour, so I'm trying to.
I know, like you know what? These things always tend to get a little bit long-winded, and I think it helps it. Like you and I talk a lot.
Well, if you take the two most long-winded people in the organization and put them client-facing, it happens.
You know, my brother would actually make it even
No,
longer.
he challenges both. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty bad. All right, so we got we wanted to kind of end today with a spotlight on somebody on our success team, Lindsay Zelster. Lindsay, are you here?
I am here.
Right, I can't see you, but I'm assuming your camera's on.
I see you now.
Okay.
It
So-
takes a while for the signal from Idaho to make it to Florida.
With the potatoes.
Yeah, right. So, you know, Lindsay, talk to me a little bit about who you are and kind of your background.
Yeah, so I managed homeowners associations in Las Vegas and Colorado. I moved in 2018 from Colorado to North Idaho, basically Canada. And I started working for a management company up here who was on QuickBooks, was doing inspections and sending collection letters and all of that through Word. They really didn't have a tracking system. And I literally felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. My 11 years prior to that, I had always used management software, so I wasn't able to go backwards and not have a way to know what was happening, you know, in my communities I managed. So I really struggled managing here in Idaho, and I started reaching out to Terry actually to get a demo for the company I was working for Tops One, and we started kind of talking about, you know, where I was in my life at that moment, and there was the new department opening, which was customer success, and I interviewed with Andrea, and 2.5 years later, here I am.
Could you ever like have imagined kind of you making that jump from, you know, being, I mean, obviously you've got a PCAM, you've got an AMS, you've got a CMCA, you've done the work, you know, now you're on this side, you're working for a technology company. Talk to me about what do you do in success? Because that might be something people don't know much about.
Yeah, I mean, when I got my PCAM in 2017, if you would have told me less than a year later I would not be a manager anymore, I would have laughed. Like, you know, the getting your PCAM is such a stressful time, and still working full time and being a mom and being a wife. It was an intense, tense time of my life, and I definitely never expected to not manage anymore after that. But one of my favorite things about being a manager was that being part of that next step for our company. You know, we were able to grow so much because of the technology that we offered. You know, we did use Tops IQ, we did have association websites, you know, we had all of those technologies, but it always seems like we were missing something. And what you were just talking about, Tops Inspector, was that piece that we were missing in our Tops IQ portfolio. You know, we were still doing the manual driving around, writing down the addresses for inspections, coming back to the office and manually entering them. I mean, I managed a community that had over 3,000 homes. It was a whole day of doing inspections and entering violations and then mailing. It was insane. So yeah, I definitely would not see myself where I'm at today. But what we do here in Success is we obviously help with onboarding. So we get you to transfer from Pro IQ or another platform to Tops One. We handle any upsells, you know, the different platforms like we were just talking about, the Tops Inspector, the advanced portfolio, or sorry, event portals. But one of my favorite things that we do is once you're onboarded and you start using Tops, I always kind of give everybody a honeymoon period, if you will, because they're so busy doing their day-to-day work that they don't really have time to push the limits of Tops One. They're just trying to get their day-to-day stuff done. So what I like to do is I like to reach out probably 6 months after they're live in Tops One and start asking them, okay, what are your challenges? What do you wish this could do? And then I really like to help them find alternative ways that they're using the software to make their day-to-day lives easier. And that's where I think our customer success department sets us apart from everybody, because all of us have, not all of us, most of us have property management experience. We get the day-to-day struggles. We get, you know, what is required of you as a manager and the stress that you face as a manager with your boards and your homeowners. We really, really understand that. So it makes it easy for us, I feel like, to partner with our clients to really push that envelope.
Yeah, I think it's like a really important point because, you know, we talk about onboarding, data conversion, training. Like, is there anything in your opinion more stressful for an organization than when you're kind of moving software?
No, absolutely not. And you said it earlier, or you say it best. Moving softwares or doing a conversion process is literally like moving. Nobody likes moving. None of your friends ever want to help you move. You're basically just have to do it. I mean, you just have to keep moving forward. And I was thinking earlier when we were talking about this meeting, a year ago, the stuff that we didn't convert flex data. We didn't convert form letters. We didn't convert CC&R work order history. Like, we kind of, like you were saying earlier, we picked up your house and we moved, but we still left some of it behind, and you were kind of forced to work in 2 platforms. Now there's probably 90% of what we bring over from Pro and IQ into one, so you're not forced to do that anymore. You're not forced to work into 2 platforms. It's amazing how far we've come, and I know that TOPS, our motto is to not stay where we're at. We're always looking to be better, and we're always looking to improve, like you were saying earlier. So it's just exciting. I'm really excited for 2021 and the chance that CS is getting to work closer to product and closer to our engineering team to make big changes in the platform that are just going to make everybody's lives easier. I think 2021 is going to be a great year for us and our clients.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you saying it. Like, when you think about you talk about kind of helping people kind of push the boundaries a little bit, once you get, and I think you said, like, give them a 6-month honeymoon. That makes perfect sense, because if they've just got done a conversion, guess what they don't want to do? They probably don't want to then be pushed even further. They probably go back to some level of normalcy. And again, anyone that tells you switching software is just easy, don't worry about it, it's not true, guys. It is work. It is work. It is probably one of the hardest things. I like to think we make it easier than the next guy, because we're going to simply bring more data and more information forward, and we're going to have a team of people like Lindsay that are there to help kind of make sure that we deliver. And like, always room for improvement on this stuff, but this is where a big commitment in 2020 for us. And Lindsay, you've seen it. Like, we went from success, implementation, support being 3 teams to success, support, implementation being 1 super team.
Oh, right. Yeah. I started at the very beginning when it was just 2 of us in success, and we were kind of tag team with the salespeople. And it went from that to, within 4 months, to us taking over implementations and onboarding. And then, 8 months later, taking over the support department. So I definitely understand the reasons for it. I think I'm already starting to see my team develop more close relationships with the same frequent people that we get tickets for. They're understanding their employees, they're understanding their processes, their pain points. So, I mean, again, that was only 2, maybe 3 months ago we made that move. So it's still in its, baby stages, but it's getting better and better every day.
Yeah. And how big is a success team nowadays? Do you know, kind of roughly?
Well, there's 5 teams and about 6 people on each, so 30 to 35 maybe, give or take.
Yeah, I think when you include like success operations, it's probably.
Oh yeah. Probably. I always forget those guys. The important guys, right?
Yeah, we kind of need those guys. Yeah, I also, like, again, for everybody who's kind of unfamiliar with why this is important, like I said, bringing the success and support together is important, because we want you guys, our clients, to have a deeper relationship with us as a team, and not having to explain yourselves every time you reach out. Like, the people you're working with, you develop that familiarity, and we can feel like we can be a better partner to you when we do that. Any kind of last things you'd say about success and maybe the conversion, or other kind of feedback you would give to people thinking about kind of using TOPS 1 more, or thinking about moving to TOPS 1?
I had a call yesterday with a client that just went live. They're about 3 months in, and one of the first things that she said on our call was, I know you guys are busy, and so I don't want to bother you. And I immediately interrupted her, and I was like, whoa, that is literally what our job is. Our job is, like you said, to partner with you to make sure that this is a smooth process, that you're getting what we promised, that you're getting everything that you need. And so I've always told my clients, pick up the phone, call me, email me. Do not feel like you're bothering us. Nobody on the success team is going to tell you that you're bothering us, that we don't have time for you. And what we don't know, we can't help with. So if you're struggling, if there was a conversion issue, anything that happened, we're always going to jump in feet first and make sure it's been resolved. And like you said, learn from it, make sure it doesn't happen again. So communication is key. I definitely don't be afraid to reach out to us.
Yeah, good. I mean, good advice. I mean, like we can't help if we don't know that there's a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay, thank you for what you do. I mean, thanks for like, again, it's 2.5 years. It's kind of flown by. Like we're in a radically different place than we were kind of back when you joined. So I just appreciate all your contributions you made to the team here.
Well, thank you.
Of course. So as we wrap up, guys, we went a little bit long, apologize. We do have another webinar coming up. I want to invite everybody on the call today to join if you can. It's March 10th. We'll be profiling a client, Prism Management. They grew their business 3,746%, basically from a startup to explosive level of growth. So a chance to kind of learn about some best practices that they use to position, to be transparent, to differentiate their business in the market. So go to our website, or we'll send a link to everybody after the webinar today to give you a chance to kind of register for this. But if you go to our website, you can read the case study, download it. Really, really smart stuff. And again, this is a company that's kind of really leaning into convergent strategy and technology into one holistic value prop. Really insightful stuff. So again, please join us on that webinar. And with that, I would say we have time for Q&A, but I feel like we've run a little bit long, guys. So I think instead of doing Q&A, I think if you put a question in, we've got members of our success team that are on the web meeting. We'll go through those questions after the webinar today. We can circle back with you offline to kind of get you specific answers. And I hope this was helpful. Again, we do this once a quarter to recap where we are as a company, and also to kind of recap where we are with our products, the things we've done, and the things we got teed up to do next. So I hope that helps. Terry, any parting words from you?
Just, one thing that's kind of burning in my head since we heard from Lindsay is, another thing to think about with a move like this is what we know in the industry. Great property managers like Lindsay, PCAM, all the credentials, all the experience. Guess what they are? They're unicorns. They're hard to find. Sometimes they might be too far away. With a move to one, and a move forward with a forward-thinking technology company, your ability to attract that top talent, your board meetings, all your things that used to be in person are now going to be remote. So your ability to attract talent that might not be local to you right there, and maybe even expand your coverage area. These are things that you should be thinking about with a move to the new system as well. And I'll tell you this, we have customers that will testify that the move to our new platform did exactly that. So that would be my parting sentiment.
All right. Well, with that, dude, I'll let you have kind of the final word, but I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you, everybody, for making time to get with us online. Again, we got a webinar coming up March 10th. Hope to see you there. We'll follow up with any questions that you kind of put into the chat. Thank you for those. Those are really appreciated. On behalf of Terry and the entire TOPS team, thanks for making time to chat with us. Thanks for choosing TOPS. Look forward to seeing you guys online here in the near future. Bye.